Valerie died last month, and now her daughter wants me to erase every trace of her from my life. We weren't family, not by blood, just two people who drank too much chamomile and watched the same birds peck at her overgrown hydrangeas every Tuesday. She'd been alone since her husband passed, and I'd been alone since my divorce. It wasn't profound, just consistent. Then the lawyer called. House, savings, everything. No warning, no explanation, just a key in a manila envelope. The will reading was in one of those wood-paneled offices. Valerie's lawyer started listing assets, and that's when the door slammed open. Sam. I'd never seen her before, but I knew. She called me a vulture, said I'd manipulated a lonely old woman. The lawyer kept reading over her, shouting. I remember thinking how small Valerie's savings actually were. Enough for a new roof, maybe, but not enough to fight over. Valerie had told me about Sam exactly once. We were pruning roses, and she mentioned a daughter who'd left and never came back. She said she came out in '99 and didn't handle it right. By the time she figured out how to say sorry, she'd changed her number. She never brought it up again, but sometimes I'd catch her staring at a faded sticker on her fridge. When I started cleaning out the house, I found the shoebox under her bed. Dozens of letters, all addressed to Sam, none stamped. The first one was dated 2 weeks after Sam left. I keep setting your plate at dinner. Your father won't admit it, but he does it too. The last one was from 6 months ago. The tulips you liked are blooming again. I tried planting those purple ones you used to draw, but the rabbits got them. I didn't read the rest. They weren't mine. But I couldn't stop thinking about how heavy the box felt. Sam called 3 days later. I don't know how she got my number. Her voice was harsh, as she said I had no right to her things. I told her about the letters, silence, then a click. She didn't call back for a week, and when she did, it was just to demand the wedding ring. She said it was her grandmother's, as if I'd stolen it. I hadn't even found it yet. The photo album was in the attic, wedged between a broken lamp and a crate of National Geographics from the 80s. Baby pictures, school plays, a graduation cap, then nothing. 20 years of blank pages. I texted Sam a photo of the album open to her high school graduation. She replied minutes later to burn it. She showed up that night. I'd been sorting Valerie's clothes into donation piles. Sam pounded on the door until the neighbor's porch light was on. She said she wanted what was mine. I handed her the album. She threw it. The spine split when it hit the wall, and this envelope slid out, thin, yellowed. The envelope said addendum to my will, $10,000 to Samantha if she ever asks for forgiveness. The lawyer confirmed it wasn't legal. No witness, no notary, just a napkin-thin piece of stationery. I told Sam anyway. She laughed. She said that she didn't get to buy that now. My partner thinks I'm an idiot. He said that she was playing me when I showed him the texts. He wanted to keep the money and take the house. He's not wrong. But he didn't see the way Valerie's hands shook when she talked about the lilacs Sam loved, or how she'd save the comics section for her even after the papers stopped delivering it. The tire thing happened on a Tuesday. All 4 slashed neat knife cuts right through the tread. The cops asked if I had enemies. I gave them Sam's name. They drove past her apartment, but she was at work. The officer said she was a nursing home aide. I hung up security cameras that afternoon. Not sure what I'm hoping to catch. Sleep's impossible now. I keep the lavender sachets in a Ziploc bag under my sink. Partner says I should sell, take the money and run. I can't decide if keeping it is honoring her or just my own guilt. Last night, I found Sam sitting on the porch steps. She didn't see me through the window. I almost opened the door. But then she stood up, spat on the welcome mat, and left. The ring was in the safety deposit box the next morning. I don't know what I'm asking here. Maybe if I'm the asshole for holding on to a house, or if I should have burned those letters instead of leaving them on the coffee table. All I know is Valerie's gone. Sam's breaking, and I'm the one holding the pieces neither of us wanted. What would you do? Now for the first update. 2 weeks since I last posted, and things aren't better. Just different. The kind of different where you wake up not sure if you're the villain or the victim. Maybe both. Sam filed a lawsuit. Her lawyer called it undue influence. Mine says it's garbage. Valerie's will was airtight. No history of dementia, no sudden changes before she died. But garbage lawsuits still cost money. I've spent hours in a too-cold office, repeating the same answers. I did not help her write the will. Yes, we had tea every week. No, I did not know about Sam until after. The lawyer charges $400 an hour. While packing up Valerie's nightstand, I found her journal. Most entries were grocery lists or reminders to water the azaleas. But one page, dated last October, made me pause. My partner found me there. He'd been patient until then, bringing takeout and listening to me rant about probate. But when I mentioned maybe offering Sam a settlement, he snapped. He shouted that I was rewarding a bully. His keys jangled in his pocket. 3 days later, I Googled Sam. Not proud of it, but there it was. Turns out she's a nursing home aide. Valerie spent her last years alone, and her daughter tends to strangers' parents. Then the envelope came. No return address, just a coworker's shaky handwriting. She was using the lawsuit to pay off her partner's medical debt. I held the note over the stove burner for a full minute, considering. I confronted Sam in the parking lot of her job. When I mentioned the medical debt, her face went rigid. She said that I did not know what it was like to choose between family and survival. Her voice was steady, rehearsed, but her hands kept flexing. That night, I pried open the safe behind Valerie's vanity. The combination was Sam's birthday, easy enough to find in the journal. Inside, her wedding ring, $15 in hundreds, and a note offering money for Sam's future. Mark threw a couch cushion when I told him. He said that I was being reckless. He'd never raised his voice before. I remembered that the $15 was exactly half of Valerie's savings, not enough to fix a house or a life. I left Sam a voicemail offering the cash. No conditions, just that it was hers. She didn't call back. Instead, her lawyer sent a cease and desist letter demanding I vacate the house. I taped it to the fridge next to Valerie's grocery lists. Neighbors started calling around then. They said they had seen Sam sitting in her car down the block, staring at the house. The cops came once, warned her about trespassing. That night, I found a dent in the hydrangea bush where she must have kicked it. Mark moved out the next day. He said it was temporary, but his plants were gone too. He took the aloe vera I'd kept alive for him. I found Sam on the porch last Tuesday. She was crying quietly. She muttered that she just wanted Valerie to say she was sorry. Not to me, maybe to the welcome mat. She ran when she saw me, but not before I noticed the hospital bracelet on her wrist. I packed the photo album and letters that morning. The album's spine was still cracked from when she threw it. I taped it shut with duct tape. The wedding ring stayed in the safe. The lawsuit is eating my savings. I picked up a bartending gig downtown. Last night, some guy tipped me $20 to ask what I was doing in a dive bar. I said I was funding a ghost story. He laughed. I didn't. Changed the locks today. The locksmith asked if I wanted brass or steel. I said I wanted steel. He nodded. I don't know what I'm asking. Maybe if I'm wrong to hold on to a dead woman's guilt, or if I should have handed Sam the ring when she asked. All I know is the house is quiet now. Now for the second update. 2 weeks since I last posted, and things aren't better. Just different. Sam's lawyer offered to drop the lawsuit if I signed over the house. Mine told me not to flinch, said it was a bluff, but bluffs still cost money. I've been bartending nights to cover legal fees. Last week, a regular asked why I always wear the same gray cardigan. I didn't tell him. While cleaning out her desk, I found a hospital bracelet tucked under a stack of crossword puzzles. Sam's name was on the bracelet, dated the week Valerie died. It indicated dehydration. I wondered if she'd driven past the house that day. If she'd hesitated, Valerie's journal never mentioned it. My partner came back. He said that it felt morbid. I didn't disagree. Sam called me at 3 a.m. 2 days later. Her partner's condition had worsened. She didn't ask this time. She begged, said the $15 could buy them another month of treatment. I agreed, but only if she dropped the lawsuit. She went quiet, then hung up. We met at a cafe off the highway. Her lawyer said it was neutral ground. She looked thinner. I slid the cash across the table in a manila envelope, then the photo album. She flinched when she saw the duct tape spine, left the album behind when she walked out. The lawsuit was dismissed the next morning. My partner high-fived me, but his smile didn't stick. Valerie's journal was open on the kitchen counter, a page flagged with a sticky note indicating that the house was all she had left to give her. He closed it gently. Sam texted that she thanked me but still hated me. I blocked her number, then unblocked it, then blocked it again. Donating Valerie's clothes was supposed to feel cathartic. The shelter coordinator said the LGBTQ+ kids would love her velvet blazers. Later, I found a note in the pocket of her winter coat. Sam's handwriting, dated 2003. It read that she wished I'd meant it, never sent. That's when I realized Valerie kept every receipt of their failure. Letters, photos, and apologies. My partner suggested selling the house. A fresh start, he called it. I told him the lavender sachets in the drawers still smelled like her. He said that I could plant new lavender. The safety deposit box was supposed to be the end of it. Valerie's ring was the last piece of her I hadn't touched. But when I unsealed it, the ring was gone. The bank manager apologized until I showed him the security footage showing Sam in a hoodie attempting to open the back door. They arrested her at the nursing home. I know because her partner called me, screaming. I drove to the station, her unsent 2003 note folded in my pocket. She spat that I had won through the plexiglass. I slid the note into the tray, watched her crumple it, then smooth it out when she thought I wasn't looking. My partner says I'm too forgiving. Maybe. But Valerie's voice in my head is stronger than his. When I dropped the theft charge, he didn't speak to me for a day. Sam's partner called again, softer this time. They're moving out of state for treatment. I didn't ask if Sam was going with them. I keep thinking about the cafe, how Sam's hands shook when she took the envelope, how she left the album. She would have hated that. She loved that album. The house is quiet now. My partner's talking about rings of his own, but I'm stuck on Valerie's. I water her azaleas every morning. They're blooming purple. I don't know what I'm asking. If I should have fought harder or let go sooner. All I know is the lavender's dying. Now for the final update. 2 weeks since I last posted, and things aren't better. Just different. The house sold faster than I expected. The realtor said it was the azaleas. I split the money 3 ways. My cut, a donation to the LGBTQ+ shelter downtown, and a trust for Sam's partner's medical care. The lawyer said it was unorthodox but legally sound. I didn't tell him about the shoebox of letters I tucked into the shelter's donation bin. Let them decide what's worth keeping. Mailing Sam the ring. I wrapped it in one of Valerie's handkerchiefs. Added the journal and the last unsent letter. Valerie wrote that she would trade the house for one more talk. No return address. My partner said I was romanticizing a stranger's pain. Maybe, but strangers are all we were in the end. Counseling's slow. He calls it my savior complex. I have trouble sleeping at night. The therapist asked if I regretted giving Sam the money. I said I regretted that she needed it. Partner squeezed my hand. The photo from Sam's partner came on a Tuesday. Just a shot of Sam's hand. No caption, but the subject line stated that she would have liked this. I showed it to my partner. He said that it was something and went back to scrolling. That night, I dreamt of Valerie humming while she watered the azaleas. She didn't turn around. I planted lavender along my apartment balcony. The landlord said it's against the rules, but the super's a softie. He remembers her bringing over fig jam every Christmas. Sam's note arrived in a plain white envelope. Her handwriting was jagged. She wrote that she was sorry for her, for herself, and for you. I held it over the stove until the edges curled black. Partner walked in as the last word dissolved. He didn't ask. The shelter's reading nook has Valerie's name. They hung the photo album under it. The coordinator said a kid spends hours there most days. I hope they stop before the empty pages where Sam's life should have been. We adopted a terrier mix from the shelter. He peed on Valerie's quilt the first night. Partner wanted to toss it, but I left it folded on the couch. The dog chewed a corner. Valerie hated waste, but she would laugh at the stitches unraveling by the dog. Saw Sam at the grocery store. She was in the frozen aisle, staring at a box of peach popsicles. Valerie used to buy those for her. Sam caught me looking. We nodded. She left her cart there, half full. The lawyer's final email was 2 lines. The case was closed, and there would be no further claims. I forwarded it to my partner. He replied with a thumbs-up emoji. We ate takeout that night. The new owners painted the house yellow. I drive past sometimes. The azaleas are gone, replaced with succulents. Low maintenance, I guess. The lavender sachet in my wallet is crumbling. I check it every morning. Partner says it's morbid. Maybe, but it's the last thing that smells like her. He proposed again last week. No ring. Just him on one knee by the dying lavender plant. He expressed that he was here. I said yes. Valerie's journal was on the shelf behind him. Spine cracked open to a page about forgiveness. I donated the tea set. The shelter volunteer said they've already used it twice. I hope they didn't notice the chip on the spout. Valerie never did. I don't know what I'm asking. If I did the right thing or just the loudest one. All I know is the lavender's dead, but the azaleas in my apartment, they're thriving.